Here's a question I ask every founder and revenue leader I work with. Do you actually know why your business is growing, or are you just watching the number go up? Because there's a massive difference between a company that grows because of great hustle and great product and a little luck, and a company that grows because it has systems, visibility, and intentional design. The first kind of growth is fragile. The second kind is scalable. And the difference between those two, it almost always comes down to RevOps Maturity. Today, I want to walk you through what I call the RevOps Maturity Model, and I want to give credit where it's due. This framework is inspired by the work that Jacco, Kooij, and the team at Winning by Design have been building for years. They've done incredible work defining what scalable revenue architecture looks like, and my team at Elefante RevOps has taken those principles and applied them specifically in the trenches with founders and GTM leaders building B2B companies. What we're going to do today is break this maturity model into 3 stages: normal growth, accelerated growth, and exponential growth. And I'm going to show you exactly what each stage looks like, what breaks at each stage, and what you need to do to move to the next one. Whether you're a founder, a CRO, a VP of sales, or an operator helping a portfolio company scale, this is going to give you a clear lens for diagnosing where you are and what to do next. Let's get into it. Before we get into the stages, I want to make sure we are aligned on what RevOps actually means, because there's a lot of confusion out there. RevOps is not a department. It's not just a CRM admin. It's not a reporting function that sits under finance. Revenue operations is the discipline of aligning your marketing, sales, and customer success functions around a single shared system. Shared data, shared processes, shared accountability, so that revenue becomes predictable and repeatable. The goal of RevOps is to answer 3 questions at any given time. Where is revenue coming from? Why is it growing or declining? What do we need to do next to hit our number? If you can't answer those 3 questions clearly and quickly, you are not yet operating with mature RevOps, and that's okay. Most companies can't. That's why we have this model. The maturity model is a map. It tells you where you are and how it shows you the path forward. The first stage is normal growth. This is where most companies live for longer than they should. And I want to be careful here. Normal growth isn't a failure. It's actually a sign of something good. It means your product works, your team is executing, and customers are saying yes. You have product market fit, at least in some form. But here's what normal growth actually looks like on the inside. Revenue is growing, but no one really knows why. Deals are getting closed because your salespeople are talented, relationships are strong, and your product sells itself to the right buyer. That's great, but when you ask, what's our repeatable motion? There isn't one. Every deal is custom, every rep has a different process, every customer was won a different way. At this stage, your data is fragmented. Your CRM is either not being used consistently or it's filled with bad data. Wrong stages, missing fields, deals that have been sitting untouched for 90 days. Your pipeline is more of a wish list than a forecast. You also have what I call hero dependency. You've got 1 or 2 salespeople or 1 founder who are carrying the number. If they leave, you're in serious trouble. The knowledge lives in people's heads, not in systems. Reporting is mostly manual. Someone is pulling a spreadsheet together before the board meeting. Metrics are tracked inconsistently, and because there's no single source of truth, your marketing, sales, and CS teams are operating with different data. What breaks at normal growth? Scale, hiring, forecasting. The moment you try to bring on a new sales rep and ramp them, you realize there's no playbook. There's no defined sales process, there's no clear ICP criteria, and that new rep struggles for 6 months before either figuring it out on their own or churning. This stage is also where most companies think they need more salespeople when What they actually need is a better system. The diagnostic question for stage 1, if your top salesperson left tomorrow, how would your revenue be impacted? And do you have a system to replace them? If the answer is we'd be in trouble and not really, you're in normal growth. And that's the starting line. Stage 2 is accelerated growth. This is where things get exciting and also where a lot of companies fall apart. At this stage, you've done some of the foundational work. You have a CRM that people are actually using. You've defined your sales stages. You have some version of a documented sales process. You're probably tracking a few key metrics. Maybe conversion rates by stage, maybe CAC, maybe time to close. This is the stage where you've hired a RevOps person or team, or you've brought on a fractional RevOps partner, like what we do at Elefante RevOps, to help you build the infrastructure. Growth is real, it's faster, and it's becoming more intentional. But here's the tension at stage 2. You're growing faster than your systems can handle. You've got process documentation, but it's not being followed consistently. You've got dashboards, but people aren't sure which numbers to trust. You've got handoffs between marketing and sales and CS, but those handoffs are still leaky. Leads fall through the cracks, customer health scores aren't being updated, expansion revenue is being left on the table. This is also where the tech stack starts getting out of control. Someone bought a new tool to solve a point problem, then another tool, then another, and now you've got 12 pieces of software that don't talk to each other, and your RevOps person is spending half their time just managing integrations. Jacco at Winning by Design talks about something called revenue architecture. The idea that your entire customer journey from first touch to renewal should be designed as a coherent system. At stage 2, most companies have parts of this design in place, but they're not connected. It's like having the pieces of a machine, but they're not assembled. What breaks at accelerated growth? Forecasting accuracy, retention, and leadership alignment, because now you have more data than ever, but you're still making gut call decisions. Your board is asking for a 90-day forecast, and your CRM can't produce one you'd stake your credibility on. Your CS team is scrambling to save accounts because nobody saw the churn signal coming. Your marketing team is optimizing for leads, but nobody agreed on what a qualified lead actually is. The diagnostic question for stage 2, do you have a single source of truth for revenue data? And is every team actually using it to make decisions? If the answer is sort of, or we're getting there, you're in accelerated growth. You're moving in the right direction, but the gap between you and the next stage is systems consistency and cross-functional alignment. Stage 3, this is where it gets fun. This is exponential growth, what every business strives for. At this stage, your revenue engine is no longer dependent on any individual. It's no longer dependent on heroic effort. It's built on a system that compounds. What does that actually look like? Your data is clean, consistent, and trusted. Every revenue leader in the company, your CRO, your VP of marketing, your head of CS is looking at the same numbers and aligned on what they mean. When there's a discrepancy, there's a clear process for resolving it. No more, well, my spreadsheet shows something different. Your sales process is documented, trained, and measured at every stage. You know your conversion rates, you know where your deals stall, and when something changes in those metrics, you know it within days, not quarters. You can forecast with 85 to 90% accuracy because your pipeline hygiene is real. Your customer journey is fully instrumented. That means from the first marketing touch all the way through to renewal and expansion, every stage has defined criteria, owner, and measurement. Product usage signals are feeding into your CS's team's health scores. Renewal risks are flagged before they become crisis. Expansion plays are triggered by data, not just by accounting managers who happen to reach out at the right time. And here's the part that matters most for founders and investors. At stage 3, you can make confident bets on growth investment. You know if you hire 3 more AEs, what your expected return will be over the next 12 months. You know if you invest in a new marketing channel, how long it will take to see pipeline contribution. You can model scenarios. You can bring your board a forecast and defend every number in it with confidence. This is what makes exponential growth exponential. Not just that you're growing faster, but that each investment in growth has a predictable compounding return. The system feeds itself. Now I want to be honest with you. Most B2B companies are never fully in stage 3. It's more of a North Star than a destination. The companies that are closest to it are the ones who made RevOps a strategic priority early, not an afterthought after things started breaking. The diagnostic question for stage 3. Can you model the revenue impact of a specific growth investment? Would your entire leadership team agree with the model? If yes, you're operating at exponential growth. If not yet, you know what to build toward. So, here's how to actually use this model. First, don't self-diagnose based on revenue. Revenue stage does not equal maturity stage. I've worked with $30 million ARR companies that are operating at normal growth. I've worked with 5 million ARR companies that are pushing into accelerated. It's about your systems, not your size of your company, headcount, or revenue. Ask yourself these 3 things. 1. Data trust. When your team is in a meeting and someone pulls up a revenue number, does everyone nod or does someone say, wait, that's not what I'm seeing? If your data isn't trusted, you're stage 1 or early stage 2. 2. Process consistency. Could you hand your sales playbook to a new rep today and have them follow it? Does your handoff from sales to CS actually happen the same way every time? If not, you're likely in stage 1 or stage 2. 3. Predictive capacity. Can you look at leading indicators today and make a confident call about revenue 90 days from now? If your forecasting is still mostly gut feel, you're not yet at stage 3. The goal isn't to shame yourself or your company for where you are. The goal is to be clear-eyed about it, so you know what to invest in next. At Elefante RevOps, this is exactly the work we do with founders and revenue leaders. Figuring out where you are in the maturity model and building the specific systems that move you to the next stage. If you want to know where your company sits, I've put together a free RevOps Maturity quiz. It takes about 5 minutes and gives you a clear diagnosis with recommendations. Link is in the description. And if this was useful, share it with a founder or revenue leader you know who's trying to figure out why their growth feels chaotic. Because almost always the answer is somewhere in this model. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.